I was going to say that SEO with Fat Joe is as peaceful as this, but then the birds are all having fights.
Did you know that Google personalizes many searches by city and Also Asked is the only tool to access live People Also Ask data at city level? Try for free at alsoasked.com.
Tired of SEO guesswork? Quadra's AI agent goes deeper to uncover high-impact optimizations and completes hours of SEO in minutes. Get started now.
Okay, I do have a bit of a posh QR code. You can scan that. That gets you 15% off Yoast Premium, but it also gets you access to these slides so you can follow along or get them immediately. You can follow me on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it, and LinkedIn, and that's a short link that goes to the same place as the QR code. So you already know who I am. Let's crack on. Evolution of the SERP has changed over the years, has it not? When I was really young and sprightly, this was my SERP. Look at the good times. Just look at all that green. It's just all organic, and it took them all of 2 years to start encroaching on our nice space, inventing PPC and ruining it for the organic folk. And then there wasn't that much, I would say, too dramatic that happened in the next 9 years. There was like complements to the SERP, but then structured data and schema came in, and that set the tone for markup on a site, which I am always a fan of, and I'm advocating even to this day. This is an example from Classy Schema, of just a semantic structured data of my profile page on Yoast. So it didn't take long for Google to go, oh, this is nice and structured. Let's use that and bring it into semantic search, and we'll understand not just keywords, but the context and the intent around it and everything that goes around that. And then, of course, they put that into paid as well, didn't they? They took the structured data, they made all the e-commerce stuff, and Google AdWords made even more money. And actually, if you look at everything that's happened in the last 20 years, quite a lot has happened. In the top 10 years, between 2004 2014, I would say that's where they were complementing the SERPs, and they were giving stuff away that was more relevant and helpful to the end user. Great. But then the sneaky stuff starts happening around 2015, and they start adding things that keep you inside the SERP. And even in the last few years, well, first of all, it's worth noting that zero clicks has passed 50%. 6 years ago. So this isn't anything new, and it was already on 64 by 2021. Now, the fight as the introduction of SGE, bless its soul, and AI overviews has shown that this is the fight. I'm sure people have seen this diagram before of, they're taking away the green, and they're taking away all of these results, and they're making us less valuable. And actually, I was thinking, is that how much we get? That's actually quite a lot. So I decided to, a couple of weeks ago, do one search result about how to teach my kid how to tell the time. Right, brilliant. Here's a load of products I can buy. I don't know how to teach my kid how to tell the time or do anything like that, but buy a clock. That's what they want you to do. And this bottom part is AI overviews. Nothing is organic there above the fold. So I was like, that's not very nice. Let's see what the whole page is. I screenshot the whole page. It goes so far down, you can see how thin it gets over here. And the dashed line over here is the fold. You can see the AIO continues for another 3-page scrolls. That's crazy. And then you get this, we're lucky, we get this little whatever in the bottom corner. But of course, it's surrounded by paid ads, other Google assets. And then finally, after 5 whole scrolls, you get ranking number 2. And that's crazy. And that also leads on to why people like Lottie should say maybe don't concentrate on CTR, because it's getting less and less valuable over time. And then LLMs came in, and they all look quite consistent, don't they, between ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity. And I did the same question. I didn't go into a whole chat and get the response. I was at, teach me how to tell the time for my kid. And one thing that I can see here is that it's very, very consistent, right? But actually, as I was putting these slides together, I thought, well, this looks a lot like 20 years ago. Just organic. There's not one bit of paid. So my one prediction here is that, well, we kind of know they're already working on paid, but it's going to take about 2 years for them to figure it out. That's no longer going to be green. The green's probably going to be this little sentence over here, and everything else will be paid. But until they figure that out, that's all right for us. But the bigger question is what is it doing to the consumer behavior? Because that is totally different to this. This is a search result page in a browser. This is a chat response. And that's shown that evolution of behavior over 20 years has completely changed. And no, it is not going back to what it was anymore. So whatever it is, you need to shift to what's going on now and know that this is now, fortunately or unfortunately for SEOs, the future of what to do. Now, this was done back in the day. This is the traditional flow, browser search, enter a keyword, terrible results, enter another keyword that's a bit more specific, rinse and repeat until I get a good result. Now, multi-step flow is where you actually add a bit more intent and not just a flat keyword. And then this is all the nice stuff that happens in a chat response, gives you back a synthesized answer instead of making you go out for the research. And that's where the difference is now shifted. We're no longer an answer engine, which is what we know as the traditional SERP, and we're now going into an assistant engine. And instead of just giving you flat out answers and links and telling you to do the research itself, it's going away, it's synthesizing the answer. And in a real world case, it's like walking into a library and a difference between just having access to a directory computer to find what you need, or going up to a librarian who has that knowledge and gives you what you need to know based on literally just a bit of preference. And now if we look at a feature list between an answer engine and an assistant engine, you're now kind of looking at a Google SERP's a bit limited, right? This is doing not a lot compared to what an assistance engine is, which is probably shaking Google's boots a little bit that it's doing that, but it's going that way. Now, the other thing is that this isn't going to calm down. Exponential growth in technology is going to happen, but weirdly at the same time, I believe that our need for self-reliance and research is dwindling and going in exponential decay, kind of like this. So this is us, the human, that's going down into idiocracy, and this is technology going up into whatever they're going to tell us to do next. But it is a bit worrying because I don't actually know where we are in this line right now, and it's worrying as we continue to go. I thought we were maybe around here, but I actually think we're bordering now. We've crossed this line, and now we're getting into a worrying part where we end up like the film Idiocracy that you should definitely see, or like those guys in WALL-E, you know, they're just walking around in basically floating mobility scooters as everything just hands things to them. Now, why does this matter to us as SEOs? Because the challenges are supposedly new. But are they? Because actually our old challenges from when things were evolving over the last 20 years are weirdly the same kind of problems we have now. Attribution isn't as accurate as it used to be. You're getting less insight. For example, no one can really tell what's going on in AIO at the moment, not even Google, and they aren't going to present that in Search Console, and they have no plans to. Traffic sources are diverging to different channels, like what Alvin's been saying with social. Thank you for saving me like 3-4 minutes off my talk, by the way, Alvin. And lastly, declining budgets. Oh no, it's becoming less valuable. Maybe we shouldn't do organic. Maybe we should do paid. Now, we've always kind of had that problem, and we'll know how to overcome it. So what do we need to do? I'm going to nick Lott's idea of a measurement framework. So you need to kind of shift the measurement framework. And Lottie said you need to decide when to do it. My advice would be start doing it now, because in the next year, it's going to be too late. And you need to think of what those metrics are, and they're not flat anymore. So it's not just about hits and clicks. It's about personas. Who's your ideal customer profile? Who's behind that visit? And when it comes to keywords, again, it's not just a flat keyword. What's the intent behind the keyword? What's the concept? What do they want to get out of searching that keyword? What's the point of all of this? And whilst we had 10 blue links, I don't know what the hell's going on at the moment, but we're in definitely a wild west. I believe that in the next 12 to 18 months, things will not calm down, but the calamity will calm down, and we'll start to understand maybe what's ahead of us in the future. So why is all this important? Because you have to align with your business goals. Again, complementing Lottie's slides here. Now, they say they're taking our clicks, but as I said before, they've been taking our clicks for the last 6 years already. But it is a bit concerning that even here, it says that we get 37% that actually go into a website. Right, but even here, in this 40% here, only 74% actually go to the website. This is still a Google asset. So even when there's not a zero click, that one click still isn't coming to you. And that's concerning, especially for the open web out there. And the likes of HCU have been decimating open web. And inside Yoast, there's one engineer has a theory that the HCU had nothing to do with humans whatsoever, and they were optimizing for the LLMs for times like now, because that's who's looking into all the information of all the websites out there. And this is the problem, because they're not going to visit your website and then you lose your ad revenue. And here the AI assistant is doing everything for you and serving it to you on a platter. But that doesn't necessarily mean that your revenue is going to go down. So do double check. Yes, impressions are going up, clicks are going down, but if revenue is staying the same or going up or down, that doesn't mean that your organic search is a hindrance to what's going on in the bigger picture. And that means that you have to shift your success metrics. And all of these years, they've been telling us, focus on your audience. Don't do anything else. Optimize for the human. Do not optimize for the search engine. That's the message that even me, and I've been always saying that, always optimize for the human. That's great. Now, this is a personal LLM user agent, the future, over a web search, a browser search, and a lot's going on in here. Optimize for the human. The human's over there at the very end. All of this, one or more LLMs. And it made me think, out of all the advice we've been given over the last 2 decades, made me think of 2 questions. What happens now? Or if, not if, but now, human behavior has changed. Consumer behavior, the way we discover things, has just changed beyond just the search. And what if we've been optimizing for the human all this time, when really it's the LLMs who are really the gateway, the gatekeeper of that audience? And with that, I would say that discoverability is the new metric or measurement framework to go with. And that maybe the LLM is the audience that you also need to consider, because they're consuming your content as well. So what counts towards discoverability? Again, quite similar. Old hat stuff. These are all the metrics we've been going for. Kind of not AEAT, because some people don't think it's a ranking factor. But now, new hat, it very much to me is a discoverability factor, and it's something which you need to be adopting, not just sprinkling it on like Muller said, or not faking it, just making sure that you have honest white hat marketing and brand sentiment that will be more positive, that will get picked up and discovered by these LLMs. Things like keywords need to change into intent. Things like content for content's sake, you need to question, why is that content being made? What's the point? What's the end goal? But in all of this, what I'm seeing is that vanity metrics are dead. I mean, they're not just dying, they're dead. Things like CTR to me is a bit of a vanity metric. Like, just like Loss's example, if you are a premium customer, you kind of want to decrease the CTR to get the FAP out. Those visitors were never going to convert. So I'd rather actually sacrifice the CTR metric rather than the conversion metric once they're on the site. That's just one example. But what can you do about it now? So some things aren't going to die yet. I can't tell the future, obviously. But never neglect the SEO 101. So everything everyone's been telling you today and will be tomorrow, do those things. But also note that third-party perspectives, which Google did kind of allude to at the beginning before they did the the Reddit API deal, is that it's going to be more and more important. And things like social networks coming in to be discovery engines, which I believe they are. They're not social networks anymore. They're discovery engines, discovery platforms. They're going to, all of this video is going to at some point be picked up by LLMs. They're going to understand everything in all the videos. They're going to transcribe them all, and they're going to be speaking about your brands in video. And while it doesn't relate right now, it will in the future, because those LLMs will be able to interpret those things. And obviously, don't be boring. Be personal, be unique, do something unique, or do something everyone else is doing in the most unique way. But lastly, LLMs do like structured data still. I don't know if Jarno's still in these. No, he's gone for a drink now. Jarno would disagree with me, Van Driel, who's a schema, brilliant, expert genius, and he thinks they're kind of becoming deprecated, but I disagree, because I think the LLMs like a cheap deal, cheap processing, and if you've got structured data in any way, then it's going to read that easier and have a better time, and therefore create a better intent what it thinks about your site. So what can you do about that? Move towards those discoverability metrics and start educating your stakeholders and your clients right now, because these things are going to get more and more difficult as they take more and more of those clicks. Experiment beyond traditional content. Basically do everything that Alvin was telling you before, and not just with TikTok, but with whatever discovery platform, which includes any social network, forums, anything that you believe will bring a positive brand sentiment to you. And always think about intent and context. Why are we doing this thing? What's the end goal? And I wanted to finish with llms.txt. Has anyone, put your hand up if you've heard of llms.txt, right? Okay, there's like 5 of you. That's more than I actually thought. It's quite new. It's been out about 9 months. I would best describe it as kind of some mix between robots.txt and an XML sitemap. It's been designed for LLMs to interpret your site as a whole. It resides in one TXT file on your root, just like robots, and you can make it as long or as short as you want, but I would say be concise, obviously, because there's another file called LLMs-full where you can literally copy and paste your entirety of your site into that one text file, and it's for the LLM to soak up. So if I went back to LLM is your audience, this is the file that the LLMs are going to look at. And I already know that Anthropic are already starting to use this as a standard. OpenAI, although I couldn't find it this morning, have talked somewhere about how they're looking into this. And I personally believe this will be the XML sitemap for LLMs. And whilst this may not be as big as schema.org right now, I think if there is a front runner for an LLM version of schema, this is the thing to do. So I would definitely, and you can also check out yoast.com/llms.txt to see an example of what we do. It works in Markdown, which means you can edit it in Google Drive and then you can export it into Markdown and then just upload it as a text file. So I would say that, to finish, evolution of search isn't a risk to SEO. It's valuable. Marcus Tober made a very good point of if you're now fighting for 4 organic spots instead of 10 on a SERP, then you are more valuable because you've got less to fight for. And that's going to become more important as that shocking AIO screenshot that I showed you earlier showed how far down that organic goes. But it also means that I personally think that SEO as a term, as a discipline, is dying. It's going to become discovery optimization in a way that it'll combine any platform, anywhere, such as your TikTok, such as your Reddit, such as another website, is just a way of discovering things. And actually, now that I think about it, LLMs are now going back. They're going back historically to look at everything. So I'm sure you've all worked maybe for an agency that says, I'm not putting that link on that website unless I have a followed non-brand anchor text link, right? Those days are over. Now you can look back and go, you remember that branded unlinked mention that you had in like the Daily Mail? Now it's coming into play because LLMs will see that and they don't care about the link equity at all. They just want to know about the brand sentiment. And that's something to think about. So think about the content of why are you doing what you're doing? Make sure it all relates to the end goal and use discoverability as all your success metrics. So I've got the QR code here again. You can follow me here. Thank you very much, and thank you for end of day 1.
Demand sphere. Limitless visual insights from the SERPs. Unlimited dashboards and users. Easy to use and easy to scale your growth to new levels.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.